Ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you very much for your presence. And I'm very glad to be back in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. In my previous visits to the area, including as High Commissioner for Refugees, I was always deeply touched by the generosity and solidarity of the Kurdish people towards those fleeing conflict and catastrophe. To May, amidst the devastation of the earthquakes in Syria and Turkey, I want to express my heartfelt thanks to you for once again extending a helping hand. I've just concluded fruitful meetings with the President, the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, and the Speaker of Parliament. I thank them for the close partnership with the United Nations. And we discussed relations with Baghdad. And as I said there, moving from constant crisis management to a more structured, institutionalized dialogue is in the interest and to the benefit of all. A number of issues require agreement, including the 2020 federal budget, the oil and gas law, stronger security cooperation, the swift implementation of the Sinjar agreement, and the finalization of the Kirkuk dialogue. But in my discussions, both here and in Baghdad, I sensed a genuine commitment to move forward, and I urge all to translate this commitment into reality. Ladies and gentlemen, good governance, respect for human rights and the freedom of expression, as well as inclusive political and electoral processes are bedrocks of stability and drivers of prosperity. I encourage all political actors across the Kurdistan region of Iraq to work together to ensure that delayed parliamentary elections take place this year. Diverse, even opposing viewpoints, as well as constructive criticism, are the lifeblood of any democracy. Despite spirited differences, I urge all to put the interests of the people in the Kurdistan region of Iraq first. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, full respect for the principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and good neighborliness is essential at all times. I urge all to pursue dialogue and diplomacy and exercise maximum restraint to prevent further instability and contain the risks of regional escalation. Finally, let me repeat what I said in Baghdad. My visit is one of solidarity and hope for the future. But achieving a better tomorrow requires action today. It demands determined diplomacy, constructive dialogue, and the courage to make the necessary compromises. After my meetings and discussions, I am convinced that important progress is now entirely possible. And the United Nations stands with the people of the Kurdistan region of Iraq to help build the better future that they deserve. Allow me a personal note. I came to this region many times in the past as High Commissioner for Refugees. And I came as Secretary General in a dramatic moment when the Daesh was close and when fighting was fierce. And I learned to have an enormous admiration for the generosity and solidarity of the Kurdish people. And I want to say that, in my opinion, we are now facing an opportunity for Iraq and an opportunity for the Kurdistan region of Iraq. And that opportunity can translate itself into reality if Iraqis are able to come together and unite, and if in this region people can also come together and unite. Iraq is potentially a rich country that can guarantee to its people a future of prosperity. I strongly hope that this will soon become a full reality.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Secretary General. This is Majid Ghali. It's so good to see you for the first time outside of the United Nations headquarters to ask you a question. I have two questions. The first one is, we are now in Kurdistan region and in Iraq, a country that still has tremendous humanitarian needs, tremendous economic security needs, and in need of international support. There are now concerns that because of the focus on the war in Ukraine, conflicts and situations like we have in Iraq and Kurdistan region are being forgotten, or international community does not give it as much attention. Do you share that concern? And my second question is about your visit today, this morning, to Jeddah camp. What did you saw there? And what is your message to those countries that still let and keep their foreign nationals rot in those camps? Thank you so much, sir.
I will start with the camp. I was impressed by the descriptions that I heard about the dramatic suffering of people in hellhole. And I do believe that every country has a responsibility to take back their citizens. And I've been saying it time and time again, and I said it again today at the doors of the camp. Hellhole can be a time bomb. It is high time for every country to follow the example of Iraq. Iraq is receiving its citizens, and it's implementing a plan for the rehabilitation and the reintegration of those citizens. And I saw them willing to do so, willing to reintegrate in the Iraqi society. So it is absolutely essential that the example of Iraq is followed everywhere. So the first question?
The first one was a lack of focus, concern that the international...
Oh, yeah. Well, I am here in Iraq today, which means that we consider that what is happening in Iraq is a source of hope, but also should be a reason for engagement of the international community to support the government of Iraq and to support the people of Iraq, the people of the Kurdistan region of Iraq. And there is no way we can neglect the many problems that we have around the world. The Ukrainian people is suffering a lot. The whole world is suffering because of the Russian invasion in the Ukraine. But it is also very important to recognize that people in Yemen, people in Libya, people in the DRC, people in so many other parts of the world need our engagement and our support. And where we see movement in the right direction, it is our duty to come and to support that movement. That is exactly what I'm doing in Iraq today.
Yes. Okay. I'm Mr. António. My name is Mohamed Mahmoud from Zagros TV. I have just one question, please. What's the future of the relationship between Baghdad and Erbil, in your opinion?
I was extremely encouraged to see both in Baghdad and in Erbil, with all my interlocutors, a deep commitment to solve the outstanding problems, and we all know that they refer to budgetary questions, we all know that they refer to oil, to revenues, but I saw in both cities all the officials I met determined to have a meaningful dialogue and to solve these problems once and for all. And I am truly hopeful that this will happen, and from our side, we will do everything we can to support this effort.
The lady over here, please. Sorry. Thank you so much, sir. This is Pam Serbas from Rudao Media Network. I want to say that we are so happy that we see you here. My first question is about the Syrian and Iranian refugee families complain that the United Nations is providing very little assistance. So my question is, will your cooperation improve? And my second question is about how will the United Nations assist in resolving the issue of Kirkuk and the conflict areas under Article 140?
But the first question was about the United Nations. Where?
In here, in the KRG, and the Iraq also, but especially in the KRG. Thank you.
I was High Commissioner for Refugees. As High Commissioner for Refugees, I had the opportunity to visit the camps of Syrian refugees, and I was totally committed, and I believe the UNHCR remains totally committed to support the Kurdistan regional government in providing the extraordinary solidarity that was provided for those refugees. If we are not doing enough, and probably we are not doing enough, I will do my best to see how we can better mobilize international support to make sure that those refugees are properly assisted through the UN agencies. Just a moment. We are totally committed to support Iraq in relation to the Kirkuk dialogue. We know the complexity of the situation, but we believe that only dialogue, only cooperation can solve complex problems. And obviously, we will do everything we can through our mission to support that dialogue, hoping that it will be positively concluded.
نورس عبد الله from Kurdistan 24. بخير بين بو هولير برئيس سكرتيري گشتنێتەوە یەکگرتوەکان بەڕێستان دەزانن کە لە ساڵی 2007ەوە دەبوایە مادەی 140 جێبەجێ بکراوایە بەڵام تا ئێستا جێبەجێ نەکراوە. ئایا لە گفتوگۆکانتان لە بەغدا لەگەڵ بەرپرسانی باڵای عێراق باسی ئەم بابەتان کرد کە ئێستا کێشەی ئەمنیش لە ناوچە کوردستانەکانی دەروێدا هەرێمێ؟ پرسیاری دووەم دانوستان لە نێوان هەولێر و بەغدا هەیە بۆ گفتوگۆکردن لەسەر بودجە یاسای نەوت و گاز بەڵام هەر کاتێک نێوانی هەولێر و بەغدا نزیک دەبێتەوە دادگای فیدراڵی بڕیارێک لە دژی هەرێمی کوردستان دەردەکات. لە بەغدا باسی بڕیارەکانی دادگای فیدراڵیتان کرد بۆ چوونی ئێوە چی لەسەر بڕیارەکان؟ سوپاس.
The same question in respect to the consultations between Baghdad and Erbil with respect to the 2023 budget bill and also oil and gas. So whenever there is a kind of improvement in the relations, we see that the federal court takes some decisions with trouble.
All these questions were discussed in Baghdad and in Erbil, and as I said, I'm deeply confident that the dialogue between the Baghdad government and the regional government here in Erbil will conduct to a satisfactory solution of all those problems, to the benefit of the Iraqi people in general and to the benefit of the people of the Kurdistan region.
I think, do you want to take one more?
Last one.
The back row over there, the guy in the glasses, back row.
بەڵێ زۆر سپاس زریانتەها لە سایتی وشە من سێ پرسیارم هەیە. پرسیار یەکەم ئەوەیە ئێوە چۆن کار دەکەن بۆ نزیکردنەوەی لایەنە ناکۆکەکان لە هەرێمی کوردستان و پرسیاری دووەمیشم تایبەتە بە ڕێکەوتنامەی شەنگال کە بەڕێز جنین بلاسخارت نێردەی نەتەوەی گرتوەکان لە عێراق دەستێدا هەبوو لەو ڕێکەوتنە لە نێوان هەولێر و بەغدا ئەم ڕێکەوتنە نەچۆتە بواری جێبەجێکردنەوە هۆکارەکەی چییە و ئێوە ئاگدارن کە ئەم ڕێکەوتنە بۆچی ناچێتە بواری جێبەجێکردنەوە و پرسیاری سێمیشم تایبەتە بەوەی ئەو خێزانانەی لە کەمپی هۆڵ دەگەڕێندرێنەوە عێراق ئێوە چۆن کار دەکەن بۆ ئەوەی ئەو خەڵکە بگەڕێتەوە ژیانی ئاسایی خۆی.
Shingal agreement,
Sinjar.
agreement, yeah, so it has not been implemented at the time SRSG made efforts, but this has not been implemented. And the last question is with respect to the families came back from whole camp and how the UNAMI deals with this issue.
First of all, I have no intention to interfere in the political discussions inside the Kurdistan region of Iraq. I came to Iraq many times. I came to Kurdistan many times. Before, in the time of Saddam Hussein, I was a member of a global political movement that had a strong solidarity with the Kurdish people. I remember the tragedies created by the Chemical Ali and so many other dramatic events in which the Kurdish people have suffered so much. And I was privileged to know very well and to become a friend of both Jalal Talabani and Masoud Barzani, and to have an enormous respect for their contribution to the new Iraq and to the progress of the Kurdistan region of Iraq. And I sincerely hope that the different parties will be inspired by the cooperation of these two great men to allow for this region to be able to take profit as much as possible of the opportunities that are created now in this new movement of Iraq.
I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. That's all the time we have.
Oh, sorry, there were more.
I think there were two more questions.
So there are two more questions, just a moment.
Okay, the second one is about the lack of implementation of Sinjar agreement.
We are totally committed to the implementation of Sinjar agreement. I discussed it with the Prime Minister. I discussed it today. And indeed, I found a will to make sure that the Sinjar agreement is fully implemented. We know the obstacles, we know the difficulties, we know the presence of armed groups there, but we believe that the Sinjar agreement can be implemented, and we believe it is essential to fully implement the Sinjar agreement.
And the last question is about the families of all companies, back to you, families of in the whole bank, and how UN deals with these families.
We have 3 UN agencies that are working in the camp, IOM, UNHCR, UNICEF. We have the mission following very closely what is happening, and the UN system, mission and agencies will do everything to support the Iraqi government in relation to the future reintegration of these people in their communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.